and welcome to IPEN magazine. My name is Joanne Cox.
Hi, I'm Nanette Buchanan, and this is Let's Talk About It.
Podcast.
The podcast.
Yes.
The podcast.
What are we going to talk about today, our subject?
Have you met people that were just genuinely disgruntled?
In every area of my life? Yes, I have.
So, I'm just wondering, what do you do about disgruntled people?
Well, first of all, what is disgruntled? Is it a bad mood? Or they just not have a pleasing personality?
I don't know, but in the midst of everything that we're going through, we don't need to be confronted with disgruntled attitudes about everything.
Yes, and they're just not content. It's called being discontent. And you're going to find them at home. Don't tell your family I said that. You're going to find them at home. You're going to find them in the workplace. And you're going to find them in your favorite store.
And sometimes you find them with people that you didn't think were that way until you start reflecting.
Mm-hmm.
And you find out that, you know what? You had that same attitude every time we do this. Or you have that same attitude no matter what we do.
Mm-hmm.
No matter what time of day.
Mm-hmm.
There are some people that, how do you get out of that?
Well, first of all, let me tell you how it shows up. In the workplace, it's like, well, I don't want to do that today. I don't know why the supervisor want me to go through all that. I don't have time to do all that. We did that stuff last week. Then someone else steps in and takes care of it. And it's like, oh, you just trying to do my work now. You know, and it's like, really?
You can't satisfy them.
No.
You can't satisfy them. And I think that that's the part that gets me. Mm-hmm. I think that that's the part that I don't understand. That if you have this attitude toward doing something, just like you gave us that example, you have an attitude toward doing something and someone else steps in and does it. Mm-hmm. So that they don't have to hear you complaining about it.
Thank you.
Now you're complaining because they did it.
Mm-hmm.
It would seem to me that no matter what, you're going to be disgruntled.
Mm-hmm.
How do we change the person or change our view of that in order for us not to catch that contagion?
Well, there's two sides to it. Now, when you're in your work environment, there's usually a supervisor, and if you are the co-person that's working with them, you're going to simply have to address this. Mm-hmm. You know, and it's a nice, calm way of saying this. And you can simply say, you know, Paul, I understand that, you know, things have not been going well with you, and that you're not pleased with the situation of your work duties. How can I be an assistant to help this be a more pleasing experience for you? Mm-hmm. They will come out of their bag of all this stuff that you probably don't want to hear, mm-hmm. but most disgruntled people have some buried issues of some family things going on at home, or they just don't like the job position they're in. And
let's be for real. Mm-hmm. You gave a perfect example of what will work perfectly, mm-hmm. but it ain't going to work like that. You're not always going to get Paul to do what you think he's going to do, mm-hmm. because when he comes out of that meeting, he's going to want to know which coworker told on him.
Well, you're only talking about this because of what you have,
how it affects you.
Yeah.
And your
position. Supervisor.
Right.
Yes.
Now he's going to want to know, well, who told? Like it wasn't something that was obvious. Mm-hmm. And I think that a lot of times what we don't realize is everyone sees it. Mm-hmm. Everyone wants to touch it. Mm-hmm. But they're scared if they touch it, it's going to blow up and leave a mess in their hand.
And see, what I want the viewers to understand, that first scenario was not about the person that told.
Exactly.
This person, as the supervisor, is saying, this is what I have noticed.
Exactly. And you're trying not to put it on anyone.
Because you're
exactly.
You're not putting it on anyone because you're saying this first-handed.
Exactly.
Okay?
And a lot of times I think even saying it first-handed, like mm-hmm. you're saying, if the supervisor takes it away from the coworkers, that leaves that working environment for the coworkers cohesive. and pulls it away from
That's
the
a
way
different scenario,
the way it is.
Yeah.
You know, by the like you said, by the supervisor saying, "This is what I've noticed."
Yes.
That takes it away from where the coworkers don't look like they've been grumbling and complaining. This is something that the boss has paid attention to.
Exactly.
So you have to be careful in these situations, and I guess that's what I'm saying.
Right.
When you're dealing with someone disgruntled, that's almost like spilling a fluid onto a table.
Yes,
it's gonna run.
Yeah, it's not a magic bullet.
Exactly, and if you don't catch it where you can dabble and tap it, you may still have to wipe the table over here.
Yes.
But you don't want to have to clean up a big mess.
Yes, and we're tackling this subject not as in saying this is going to solve the problem of a person being disgruntled. So let that be clear.
Exactly.
That is not a...
Because like you said,
yes,
the person that's disgruntled has deeper issues.
Exactly.
They really do.
And we have to address that some people don't realize that they're being disgruntled. They are saying exactly what's coming off their tongue immediately. You know, and it's like, oh, I didn't know people saw it that way.
Well, what about the fact that, and I take this back to the ages, where you had people that stayed in marriages or stayed in relationships.
That's the home area.
For years.
That's the home area.
Being disgruntled.
Yes.
Being disgruntled. Knowing that they, I don't want to be here. This is not what I married you, thinking you were this type of person. I found out you're this type of person, and I'm still in this marriage. And now we've been together 40 years, and I'm just not for the family getting together. I don't want to be at the dinner. I don't want to go on vacation. I don't want to do anything because I'm upset about the way the marriage is.
Yes.
Because I'm not about this commitment or anything anymore. It can blow up like a volcano.
Yes.
It can erupt. It can erupt.
Yes.
But it also can be something that has been underlined for years that you don't know has caused the person to be negative in the morning or negative in the afternoon or negative when they cook your favorite dinner and they don't really want to cook your favorite dinner.
And in saying that, to just do a disclaimer, we're not therapists. We're not marriage counselors.
Right.
I am a coach, but in just saying this out of two people talking at a podcast, we're talking what Nanette has said, 40 years. Come on. If you have been that disgruntled that long, then this is a serious problem.
But not only that, years ago,
it may come into a volcano.
And years ago, if you think about it, it had been a thing where you just didn't get divorces.
Right.
But
then there were people that when they didn't get divorced, they sucked it up.
Exactly.
So there's a difference between staying in a not productive marriage and a person that's staying in, but they are disgruntled
about it.
And those are the same people that are showing up at the job that I just got.
Exactly.
They are not saying anything at home, but what they are doing is
displaying it out at the job.
Some people will let it spill over to the children.
Yes.
Some people will go to a social event with the spouse that they really don't care about anymore. And now you're trying to have fun at this wonderful event, and the person that's got their lips stuck out or they're over drinking. These are all disgruntled people. But what I would like to get out of this session here with this being disgruntled is just the idea of knowing that it still has to be addressed to let the person know. Someone has to let the disgruntled person know that they are being disgruntled.
So wait, are you telling me that in the midst of, my attitude and the way that I am and the way that I carry myself, that I don't know that I'm disgruntled?
Believe it or not, that sounds hard to believe because you're not disgruntled. That is almost like when people that are ill don't realize that they're sick because they've been sick so long, they just got used to the pain and they have become numb. So a disgruntled person can get to a point where they have just been snapping off and saying something
and they think
rude.
it's just them.
And that's it. Or the world needs to know this. So something that everyone can identify is going to their favorite store. Okay, so right now it's a pandemic. The lines are long. You're wanting to get out. You can't get out fast enough. And someone is going, well, you need to have more cashiers up in here. Or you need to do this. And so is standing too close to me. All of that is a very unpleasing personality coming out. But it's because of the fact that they are just discontent with the way things are. And they don't feel like they're being disgruntled. What they're doing is saying, I'm putting the cards on the table. I need to let the manager of this store know
that I'm here.
They don't want to say I'm here. They're saying, I just know that I can make it better by telling this person this, and then she's going to open up more lanes. She's going to make it better, so that makes me smart. You know, so I've put this suggestion in the box. Are they disgruntled to them? No. They're going to go home and they're going to tell their children.
And they'll be fine, even though they've caused a whole different atmosphere for someone else.
Yes. And so that's the reason why you don't want to feed off another person being disgruntled.
Exactly.
Because what happens, whether it's at that store, whether it's at the party, or whether it's at work, it's a negative vibe, and someone else says, that's right, I've been standing in this line forever. So you can diffuse it by bringing your light to the table and ignore that person, or to just say, well, you know, I'm certain that the cashiers, you know, will get to us when they can.
And not only that, the thing about it is you have to understand the causes of different things too. For example, I've always wondered why people start their day and they come in, they're rushing and everything. They might have had traffic. They might have had a late start. They might have got up late. Anything could happen. And they rush in, and the first thing they say is, my whole day is shot. Yeah. And I always have to ask, how'd your whole day get shot and it's just 8 o'clock in the morning? Yeah. How did that happen? How did you taking on this attitude, and then about 12 o'clock, they got the same attitude, and they tell you it's still from the traffic in the morning.
And that's because of the fact that with a disgruntled person, it is created by anxiety, it is created by stress, their jobs, their home life, and they're not recognizing where it comes from.
Connections.
So these are some of the things that we can break down if a person is wanting to have a better life. You know that you said before, and so have I, if we have that beginning morning devotion period, that's the start.
Right.
So we're here to say that in our careers outside of the podcast, we can do workshops on this. It is not called disgruntled. It's called relieving the stress to have a better day.
And showing someone else how to have a better day. And that kind of brings me to my thought about being disgruntled. This is what I came up with when I thought about it. In every situation, no matter what, there's a potential of value. There's a potential of something that's going to alleviate it the next time. Even if it's just that minute. Believe it and begin looking for it. There's got to be some value in it. There's got to be a reason behind it.
Yes.
Look for the reason and then dwell on that. Don't dwell on the negative.
We're wanting to turn that into a positive. See you next Thursday
on Let's Talk About It. Make sure you tune in, subscribe, and leave us a comment. Leave us a comment about a topic that you might want. See you next time.
Bring a friend.